Today we want to talk about tire pressure monitoring systems and the giant bomb that fell on us during this review. You're going to want to join this adventure and see what happened. Alright, so the big gray van from Amazon Prime showed up the other day and brought us what we ordered. We did our research and we found a tire pressure monitoring system that was a balance in price, reputation, and reliability. And let's do the old YouTube thing here about cutting my hand off. Something like that. And we're going to open this box. Kids, don't try that at home. All right. What we got here? All right, well packed. We decided on the Tire Minder TPMS booster. So let's open this up. See what we got in the box. It's packaged well. Alright, in the box, this is the monitor system. That's adjustable. Head angles are adjustable so you can mount it. We got 4. This system came with 4 because we have dual axle trailer. 4 sensors that go on the trailer valve stems. These are lightweight and brass, so they're good for the rubber stems. If you get sensors that are larger and heavier, you really want the steel or the aluminum valve stems, the high pressure stems, I think they're called sometimes, because these things weigh and the inertia of them going around can flex that stem and possibly damage. The rubber ones flex more than the metal ones, obviously. So there's 4 of those, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the bottom here, we have in the kit, and this tire monitoring system, we bought this. This was not provided to us. It's not paid endorsement. They didn't supply. Nobody supplied this to us or offered us anything in return for doing this review. This is what we chose based on our research. But in the kit, the box for the trailer monitoring, the tire pressure monitoring system, are 4 sensors that go on each of the trailer tires. We have 2 axles, 4 tires, so there's 4. Batteries for each. A tool to put the sensor on. USB cable to charge the monitor. It also charges by solar. This is the signal booster that goes on the tongue of the trailer and attaches to the trailer house battery. Some Velcro strips. The monitor itself, this label, it's off. This label is a sticker. When I set it up, I'll pull that sticker off, and that's what it'll read out, so it'll look like. Warranty card and instructions. That's pretty much what comes in the box. It arrived in one piece, intact. Very well done. The booster has got the booster itself, some alligator clips. I'm probably going to change those to circle connectors to put over a post. Some zip ties to hold it to something on there. Instructions on how to do it. When I go to install this, I'll show you what my solution is and how I attach it. You follow the instructions and attach it the way you want, but I'll show you how I do it, give you an idea. This tool here. Comes with, my guess these are probably anti-theft. Let's see. That's the tool. That goes on. Yeah, probably some type of anti-theft. These lucky nuts are designed for anti-theft only and are not required for daily use. So you have the option to put them on. It looks like the wrench allows you to get up under there and tighten them up against the back of the sensor. Pretty straightforward. So that's pretty much what came in the box. I'm going to put this on. I'll show you how I do my install. And then we have a trip this week. We're going to Fort Wilderness in Orlando, Florida. It's about 2 hours for us. Shoot some video of that, what it's like in actual use, see how easy it is to read, and how well it monitors the temperatures. And of course, the instructions. One-sided, looks pretty simple. So let me take a few minutes to ponder this and absorb some of this information. Alright, got a chance to read the instructions. That seems pretty straightforward. So let's take a look. A few notes here that I see in the instructions is in big red letters right there. This system is designed for trailers 25 feet or less with 70 psi or less tires. Our trailer is 25 feet. Our tires are at 65 feet max psi, so we're right there. If you have anything other than that, you need to go to this company, Tire Minder, and look for the appropriate TPMS or whatever brand you decide on. This Tire Minder costs us $157 on Amazon. It's a moderate price. They go anywhere from $500 down to $30. In my research, I found that the cheaper ones, the ones under $100, are designed for passenger cars, and they'll say right in there, not recommended for RVs, motorhomes, motor coaches, etc. It's because they don't have a signal booster, and they don't have the tire pressure range of this one. They usually go up to 45 pounds or something like that. So read the fine print when you're doing your research, and you'll see that the cheaper ones, less expensive ones, are going to have a disclaimer that says not for RVs. So be very aware of that. Make sure you order one that's appropriate for RVs. It looks like there's pretty simple. There's 7 steps to install this. Putting everything together, putting it on, turn it on, and activating the sensors and getting them in a pair with the monitor. Alright, and reading the instructions for setup, I've noticed a couple of things. One, right here in the initial setup, it talks about putting the batteries into the sensor, and that the sensors, the caps, have numbers on top of them. Let's see if I can get one out. I don't know if that shows up. That's a 4. When you take the cap off to install the battery flat side up, put the cap back up. Make sure you do it one at a time, because the caps are numbered specific to the sensor, so you put it on the correct tire. So don't take all the caps off at once and get them confused, because then the number 4 sensor might have the number 1 cap on it. You're going to put it in the wrong position, because you use the number to figure out what position on the axle it goes. They give you this block representing a trailer with the 4 tires, and it tells you specifically number 1 goes on the driver's front, 4 goes on the driver's back. But unless you read the directions to get the orientation, it starts off with saying 3 is passenger rear. That tells you that this is up. So I just drew an A-frame on here to represent the tongue, so it becomes more natural for me when I look at it when it's time to install. So make sure you get these in the correct order. Installation looks pretty straightforward. You set the baseline you set the baseline pressure for the tires. So we're at 65 cold max psi, so we'll set 65, and then it monitors it from there. It's not super sophisticated, hence the price. Some of the more expensive monitors will allow you to set parameters, how much air is allowed to be lost before the alarm's going off, how much pressure is allowed to build before the alarms go off, and so forth. This will has basic parameters set in it already, and it's looking for sudden changes. And visually, you can monitor trends as the tire gets hotter or pressures start to go down. And if pressures go down, the temperatures inversely go up, because that's from the flexing. As the tire gets softer, from deflating, the sidewalls will flex more, and with that flexing, heat is generated inside the tire, which raises the pressure if the pressure remains consistent. If you're losing pressure and the tire is getting flatter, the sidewalls are flexing more, you're going to see a temperature rise. It monitors these and issues updates every 6 seconds. That's pretty quick. So apparently it's audible and visual through the monitor. So let's get to work putting these on. It looks like it's pretty quick. It says it do it in 10 minutes, and we'll go from there. All right, we moved into the garage and need to do a little modification to the plug. As I mentioned earlier, the booster, the signal booster, comes with 2 alligator clips for the 12-volt battery on the trailer, and I really don't like those. They will probably pop off vibrations of travel, so I'm going to put a SAE connector on there, because I already have an SAE connector on there with ring terminals to allow for me to plug in the trickle charger. Let me take you out and show you that. Alright, even if we're on shore power, I disconnect the battery and I keep it on trickle charge so it's not catching the full charge from the converter charger. And this is permanently on the battery, so I don't have to take the battery cover off whenever I want to plug something in. So I'll put the same connector on the signal booster. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the alligator clips off of the signal booster and attach an SAE connector that I picked up off of Amazon. It's just a pigtail with loose ends, and I'll solder that on too. Alright, install the signal booster. Here, per the instructions, they want the signal booster installed on the bottom side of the frame, somewhere in this area near the battery. We'll need 12-volt power to run it, so a couple zip ties here. I put it in this bracket for the anti-sway weight distribution hitch to kind of protect it. And then what I did, I took the alligator clips off, and since I use an SAE type connector for the battery charger, I put one of those on the end of the wires for the signal booster, so now when we're traveling, I simply unplug the battery charger and plug in the signal booster for the TPMS. Quick and easy. I don't have to keep taking the battery cover off to install a connection for the TPMS. Very nicely done. And what I did is I took the wires, and I'll show you. I zip tied them out of the way to a bundle that's in here. And there's the connector for the TPMS. Dust covers are on the way. They didn't ship them with the connector, so I had to email them, and they were going to send me the dust covers to protect these while they're not in use. We've got all the tires inflated to at least a half pound over max, 65.5 psi. That'll allow for the little bit of air escape when we put the sensors on. Remember, the sensors are numbered. Follow the directions to tell you what tire goes in. The number 3 goes in the rear passenger. So I've got it set by each tire, so all I gotta do is walk up to it. Each valve stem is going to get a locking nut and a tool to use on it to create somewhat of an anti-theft system. So let's screw the nut on first. Now we're going to put the sensor on. There should be a little escape of air. Just a little, not much at all. Hold the stem finger tight and use the special tool. Actually, I'll use my fingers. And then let it pressure against it, and that holds it on. Now I'll do each of the tires. sensors have been put on. They're alive with batteries in them. All I can do is plug in the signal booster to this power source. Plugged in. Verify a green light on the booster. Turn on the monitor. Says it may take a minute or two. And they're starting to come online now. Passenger rear just came on, 65. You see, let me see it. 65 psi. The air temperature is 77 degrees for the tire. All right, we've got all four showing 65 psi, 77 degrees tire temperature. Looking good. No warnings, no indications other than normal. Let's go to the truck and show you where I mount this. All right, we're sitting here in the Jeep, and of course the Jeep's not hooked up to the trailer, as you can tell by looking out back. I've got the tire pressure monitor here. It's still showing 65 psi per tire and 77 degrees, so we're about 25 feet from the trailer, and it's still reading it. Doesn't appear to be any signal loss. So the monitor is powered by solar. The idea is to use the adhesive strips to attach it to your window, and then the solar could recharge it. That way it's always got a charge. I'm probably not going to do that. It does come with an internal lithium ion phosphate battery with a USB cable to charge it, so I'm going to do that, and it has been charged. Then my next issue was where to mount this thing. I didn't want to stick something else on the windshield because I already have an observation camera monitor on the windshield. I didn't want to clutter up the windshield anymore, so I looked around. I didn't want to stick it on the dash. Didn't want to do anything goofy like that and have to add Velcro to our dash and, mess it up, get it all gunky. So I looked around and I found a unique place to set this. And in the Jeep, and a lot of cars have a sunglass holder. What I've done is it mounts right there. Let me block this sun. You can see my dead cat on my microphone. Sorry about that. But you can see where it sits right there, so it's real easy to read by both driver and passenger in the car. As you can see, it's still got a good signal if you can see those numbers. But that's in them when we don't need it. Just close it up. Of course, power it off. And with the lights, with the screen brightened. So that's the install. Now we've got a 2-hour trip ahead of us. We're going to Fort Wilderness at Disney in Orlando. We'll get some shots. I'll watch it, see if it ever loses the signal. Hopefully we don't have a tire issue, and we'll get some live action shots of it in use on the interstate. And then once we get to Orlando and get set up at Fort Wilderness, I'll review the installation process and what I think about this tire pressure monitoring system by Tire Minder. Alright, we've made the 2-hour journey from home to the Fort Wilderness campground at Disney, and the TPMS, the tire pressure monitoring system, seemed to work very well. We didn't have any issues, so we couldn't test it in that regard, but the tire pressures rose with the temperature of travel, and the temperatures in the tires rose also with the air temperature. We had 91, 92 degrees air temperature, so the tires were running in the high 90s. And the pressures climbed from 65 to about 72. But they remain consistent amongst all the tires. Now, one thing I did notice is because our trailer has a very slight nose-high attitude, a little more weight's carried on the back axle, which meant the back tires were working a little harder, and they did show that the pressures were about a pound or two higher than the front axle, and the temperatures were just a degree or two higher. But again, side to side, very consistent. Very easy to use. It really gave us a peace of mind that we were missing when traveling. You just don't know when that tire is going to blow out, and If it starts to deflate, lose air, you won't. Coming back from Fort Wilderness on Interstate 4, early afternoon, just after lunch, air temperatures were running fairly warm, 93 degrees, and the tire pressure monitoring system was indicating everything normal, A-OK. We had tire temperatures right around 98 degrees. With a 93 air temperature, that's not bad. You're going to see an increase in air temperature and pressures as they heat up. All right, up to this point, everything had been going A-OK with the tire pressure monitoring system. It was indicating exactly what we thought it would. Everything looked good. Everything looked normal. The tires were functioning as we expected. On the way back from Fort Wilderness, we got just outside Tampa on I-4. It's doing 61 miles an hour, and everything indicated it was in the green. Good tire pressures, good tire temperatures, and then that happened. That blowout is catastrophic. We cannot find a reason for it. The tire pressure monitoring system was indicating everything was okay. Tire temperature for that tire was at 98 degrees. The tire pressure was at 71 degrees. So with the heat and the friction of the tire rolling, it builds pressure, it builds temperature. All 4 tires were consistent. There was no indication of anything wrong. We were on Interstate 4 just outside Tampa, like I said, and we were doing 61 miles an hour when this happened. No warnings, no nothing. Boom, we heard the explosion, and within a few seconds of hearing the explosion, I happened to be looking out the side of the car, in the mirror at the trailer, just taking a look, and I actually saw the tire explode. Both of us heard the explosion. It went boom, and within a few seconds, the tire pressure monitoring system started to beep at us, flashed the red symbol, and the tire indicator for that particular tire started to blink. Gave us the error code. Confirmed what we knew already, that the tire had blown, but there was nothing up until then. We were able to get off the interstate to the shoulder. Took us about 35 minutes. Being prepared, having all the tools that you need for something like this is a huge plus. We were able to get out, don our safety vests, get the equipment and the tools we needed to change this tire, and we were on the road within about 35 minutes. Only the scary thing was changing a tire on a trailer on the street side of the trailer facing the traffic on I-4. That was a challenge. But we got it all done and we hit the road. I got back and I looked at this tire closely. I cannot find any single point of failure. It appears to have failed from the inside. I checked my tires before each trip. I had checked them before we left Disney. Tire pressures were at 64.5, very acceptable. No visual indication the tire was about to fail. The tread is perfect on these tires. There's only about 3,000 miles on them, and up until now we've had no indication that this was going to happen. The tire pressure monitoring system would never have predicted this. I don't think any tire pressure monitoring system would have predicted a sudden catastrophic failure of the tire. It's something that just happens. No tire pressure change, no temperature change, nothing. It just kaboom, and it separated. You can see the steel belts pulled out right there. No sign of impact. We didn't hit a pothole. I had no potholes anywhere. So that probably scared the tar out of the drivers around us, because as soon as it went off, the car started slowing down and moving away from us. The trailer did not react negatively at all. There was no jerking, no sudden yaw or pitch in the trailer, nothing. It kept on trucking. So if we didn't have the TPMS and we did not hear the explosion, we would have never known it. We would have continued on, and we probably would have done substantial damage to the trailer as the tread began to separate from the tire. May have even caused damage to cars around us. So the tire pressure monitoring system, even though it will not predict or catch a catastrophic sudden failure like this, it will prevent further damage in letting you know that that tire has failed and you can get off the road as soon as possible. Who knows how long we would have driven if we would not have heard the explosion and the indication from the tire pressure monitoring system. So in that sense, tire pressure monitoring system did exactly what it should. It's just no match for a sudden catastrophic failure. I'm going to show you what happened to the side of the trailer. It really was not that big of a deal. It popped the rivet, broke a support for the wheel skirt, and that was it. So let's go out and take a look at that. All right, as you can see, the failure really didn't cause us any damage. Pulled this rivet out here, This was the position it was in. That's the front driver's side tire right there. And it broke right there. So I have to reattach this to this, and we'll be back in business. But other than that, we received no damage. Got a small scuff right here. I'm not sure what caused that, but we got that right there. But as you can see, we caught it just in time. If we wouldn't have caught it, the TPMS monitoring system had not detected it, we had not heard it, that tire probably would have shredded during the continued drive. TPMS is a must. Gotta have one. All right, well, that's our journey. This is our review of the Tire Minder tire pressure monitoring system. They are, I believe, in our opinion, my opinion, a must-have for any RVer, especially if you're pulling a trailer or a fifth wheel where you just may not hear the tire fail behind you. That's where a lot of the damage comes, is when that tread separates and begins to beat the side of the trailer to death. We were able to get off the road quick enough to avoid that. I'll show you a close-up of this, and you see what you think. If you got any comments, if you've had one of these experiences, share with us in the comments below how it went for you, what you did to deal with it, and if you were able to figure out why the tire failed. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch our videos. We'd like you to continue to join our journey as we move forward in our RV journey. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share the video, tell your friends about it. If you haven't subscribed yet, do us a favor, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button down there on the bottom your right corner, and subscribe to our channel. If you hit the bell and you turn on your notifications, you're going to get future notifications of videos we put out. I will create a video in the near future about the tools and the equipment we had on hand already, and how prepared we were for this particular event, and how it became a non-event for us. So again, thank you very much for joining us. I'm George. This is our coupled adventure. Let's go on the journey. See you later.